Welcome to Market Innoventors, where we bring to you real innovators and inventors, people that are transforming ideas into influence and ambition into global impact. I am your host, Peace Nwoke. And today we are focusing on one of the most urgent and defining challenges across Africa: access to affordable and structured housing. In a system where quality accommodation is often out of reach for the average person, and where real estate is seen as expensive and exclusive, a new generation of innovators is stepping forward to rethink the model, not just by building houses, but by building systems that work for people. And that is why we have on the show today Mr. Ekene Ossai, a Nigerian entrepreneur and housing innovator who is reshaping how everyday people access and participate in the housing market. Through a fast-growing cooperative housing movement, Mr. Ekene is bringing together strategic partners, financial institutions, and verified tenants to create a scalable rental housing system, one that bridges the gap between real estate development and community-driven ownership. Known for his execution-driven mindset and direct approach, he is not just creating housing solutions, but also mobilizing a new generation of Nigerians to take action in areas like investment, discipline, and long-term wealth creation. And for him, housing is more than shelter. It is a foundation for economic stability, opportunity, and growth. Mr. Ekene, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is mine.
Okay, how are you today?
Well, thank God I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you so much.
All right.
All right, let's get into it. What inspired you to focus on solving housing access, and why do you see it as such a critical issue in Nigeria today?
Thank you very much. So largely my journey started sometime in 2017 when I launched my first company. It was a tech startup actually, to provide rental houses on a monthly basis to salary earners, basically through technology. But that didn't stay long in the market because we had a lot of tenants and very, very little properties that were able to meet the earning capacity of these people, or what would be the affordable housing standard. And so that immediately led me into research on how I could improve housing, seeing that there was a lot of demand but very little supply for the housing market. And then that started my research journey from 2019 up till sometime in 2024, before I decided to open up a company and then begin to push it globally.
Okay, so can you walk us through your journey so far, the challenges, the key lessons, and defining moments that has helped you shape your work and get you to where you are today?
So yeah, it started, like I said, in 2019. I launched the monthly tenancy plan. That's the name of the first startup. And the aim, as the name implies, just to provide houses on a monthly basis to salary earners, so that landlords no longer have to deal with debt, since rent will be debited directly from source or from the salary accounts of these individuals. And along the line, I started making connections with property managers, landlords, and all of that. And many of them were not willing to have their properties listed on a system. They felt Nigeria is not developed enough for all of those type of technological solutions. That started sometime in Abuja, because I was in Abuja before I moved to Lagos. And over the years, I kept on pushing and researching into how better the housing market could be. And along the line, I then discovered that we had a huge, prior to when I launched the company, I didn't know of the Nigeria's housing deficit. At that point in time, was over 28 million. And so when I started my research was when I came across the deficit, and it was significantly huge. That's almost 3 times the population of Dubai. And so I was shocked when I saw that data, and it was very obvious that the problem wasn't technology. It was actually the availability of this type of houses, and then how these houses could be provided at an affordable rate, and also the management system involved in this type of housing. We didn't only stop there. We then went further into research in terms of housing categorization, which is something, or better say tenant categorization, which is something many developers or real estate experts do not focus on in Nigeria. Largely, we simply just build properties because we have access to capital. And when we're done, then we start trying to market those houses, and that's when we start looking for the customer that would buy those houses. So when you look at that system, it's naturally flawed because you have created a service for people without knowing the people you're creating it for.
Exactly.
Yeah, so when you just come into the market and then start having salespeople push this housing and all of that, there's really no focus in terms of who those houses were built for. And all of those merged together became the main reason I started to push and research harder into real estate and into housing generally, and how best we could create a lot of affordable housing in terms of delivery time, the cost of construction generally, the system of management we were going to employ in ensuring that these houses were not just created, but they are easy to manage. They are designed for a specific customer base, and eventually also reducing the debt or giving us a lot of predictability in housing, because the real estate market in Nigeria today, unlike other developed parts of the world, is largely built on speculation.
Yeah.
But those speculations are largely because we didn't pay attention to the customers we're building for. So if you stay on the island, there are a lot of young people on the island, but most of the properties being developed on the island are family properties.
Yes.
Then you end up with a situation where people announce they need shared apartments, which now depletes the property faster because you have your style of management. I have my own, and we have probably a 4-bedroom where 4 different people who were raised differently, have different thought process towards housing, are now living. And before you know it, within 2-3 years, the entire structure is totally dilapidated. Not largely because they didn't do a good job in building it, but because they did not create the market for that type of housing. So all of that formed the journey over time to where we are today at House and Cooper, basically.
Okay, so talking about the knowing your target audience and the affordability structure, how affordable would you say the housing cooperative is right now?
Real estate generally is not so affordable in Nigeria as it stands today.
Okay.
And that's largely because we have not categorized it. So a 1-bedroom right now would most likely be sitting around 50 million upwards. And largely when you look at those who need a 1-bedroom, you would automatically realize that price doesn't necessarily balance up. A 1-bedroom is largely for single people, students, new employees, and those categories of people. So if those people cannot afford housing, then truly you can't even provide for others above the ladder. And over time, I think because of the need to make back the capital and profit, that has pushed a lot of developers into a greedy side of real estate. So people now build substandard houses. They build houses that have no markets. And today we have a whole lot of properties that are abandoned, whereas there is a whole lot of people looking for houses today. So there's a whole lot of mismatch. It means people are building what people really don't need. So Nigeria housing is not so affordable, but using a cooperative model, it makes it largely affordable because, number one, you're not, for cooperatives, they are more like a community. So you people can sit down and create the laws that make these properties easily affordable, as opposed to having the bank or just one person governing the entire situation around a property. So largely the cooperative method just gives you an edge in terms of working with communities. And those communities make it easy in making decisions because the group is stronger than one person. And together we can make a decision that is smarter and better and more tailored for a specific market, actually.
Okay, so how does payment work, the rent? Is it monthly? Is it yearly?
Yeah, largely it's monthly. But at House and Cooper, we have different categories of tenant base. So we're currently starting with the informal sector. And that's because we really want to start from the ground and then progress upwards. The rich man doesn't necessarily need you to build him a house. He can afford to go anywhere, build a house to his taste. But the man at the low income bracket needs you to not only build a house, but create a structure that makes it easy for him to live. So we are starting at the informal sector with the bed space project we're pushing. And that's largely to ensure that informal sector workers who have a verifiable job,
Yeah.
can have a decent place to sleep every night. So I've been in Lagos for about 3 years now in total. And one of the things I've noticed is a lot of informal sector workers make a whole lot of money on a daily basis. But because housing in Nigeria is largely on a year-to-year basis, those people are kind of edged out of the housing market. They become problem to the landlord even without even renting the house. The landlord is naturally scared of them because he knows, oh, you earn money daily, and how will you be able to meet your rent? There's still also the wrong speculation of seeing people in the informal sector as touts. Somehow a whole lot of people who are in the middle class upwards just have this very wrong mindset. But they have this mentality that almost everybody in the informal sector is kind of in tune with crime or something of that nature. So you see the man driving the bus today, and everybody is scared of him being your tenant or something of that nature, forgetting that you have the right to create the laws which this person would live by, and also create the properties that are affordable for this person. And yet this person goes out every day and makes, many of the informal sector workers actually make more money than the salary earners when you check it on a month-to-month basis. Some of them earn as much as 300,000 a month from the daily 10,000 naira they make on day-to-day basis. So they're actually even earning enough to have a house and have a decent accommodation, but simply because we have now glamorized real estate so much that we only want to see real estate as luxury. In fact, the whole of Nigeria today, anybody going into real estate is largely seeing it as luxury. We want to walk into a house and it's aesthetically pleasing. It has all those chandeliers, nice lights, and all of the high windows and doors. That's all many people are focused on, not actually who is living in the house, what the person needs that house for. So it's affordable, but then it's based on the system you put in place. We have a lot of structures to make it affordable. We have access to financing that is interest-free. Jaiz Bank, based on the Islamic law of financing. So that gives you a huge relief in terms of interest. So you already know that the capital you're using on this project, you don't have to make that capital back with a certain amount of money within a certain time frame. That pressure is off your neck. What you simply have now is you have access to capital, you build for the right market, and both you and the financiers progressively make money over time. So that makes it far much more affordable than the normal housing we practice.
That's very, very insightful. Thank you for that. All right, so as a community-based housing cooperative, what kind of impact have you been able to create so far?
Largely, we have been more focused on communicating with our customer base in terms of the occupants. And we've been able to visit several areas or go to different slum areas and interact with people to see their opinion about housing. First things first, no matter how developed a nation is, if the people are not mentally developed enough, then that nation is still backwards. And in Nigeria, one of the major problems we face today is a lack of adequate information. So both the tenants, in fact, I say it many times, tenants are more problematic than landlords. Most of the laws we get to experience in real estate from landlords, and we call them strict, is because of the way a tenant has behaved on the property. And many people would not understand because they are not landlords. By the time you become a landlord, you now understand why the man doesn't allow certain people on his property. He may have probably allowed maybe 5, 6 tenants, same category, same problems, same mistakes, and he's no longer interested in attending to those people. So for us, largely, we're starting in the interactive session. While we're building the facilities, we spend most of our time interacting with the people on the street. We go out and discuss with the people who many at times Nigerians tend to look at as a problem to the society. Exactly. I don't know, I'm not used to calling them that. They are my friends.
Okay. Exactly. I love that.
So we get to talk with them from day to day. We go to the markets and interact with people in the markets, see how they live and what is needed in their housing structure to make it efficient to manage, easier to manage, but above all, affordable for them and for we, because even the management of that facility has to be affordable. So we put all of that into consideration. But in terms of community impact, largely we're starting at educating, and that's the bigger section of House and Cooper. We have what we call the House and Cooper Infrastructure Academy, which is largely centered around educating people, both the investors and the customers, in terms of the right way to use a property, and also for the landlords or the property owners, the right way to utilize your property in the market. Exactly. So we're fixing all of these interactions, understanding their pain, helping them understand the solution we are bringing in, and then creating a more friendly environment for us to interact with these people, because you wouldn't get it done in hostility no matter what.
So, Mr. Ekene, from your personal experience, what has been the toughest part of building a system like this in Nigeria?
Trust capital. Trust capital is really hard to get, considering that the company is young. Also, one of the major problems is because the real estate market in Nigeria has, over the years, been plagued with several challenges. Those challenges tend to affect almost every new real estate company coming up, and that's why you see many companies come up and they're not doing anything innovative. They're not trying to push anything new, because it's very, very difficult having to push a new product in the market, having to push a new structure within people's lives. It's extremely difficult. So the trust capital is number one, and I think it's easier. I've had a more easier life gaining the trust of the people on the street than actually the trust of the investors. Because the people on the street, most times, the moment you understand how to interact with them, it becomes very easy. Sometimes we just sit on our high horses and believe they don't really need any form of interaction. But throughout the course of this project, it has exposed me to a lot of benefits. Take, for example, I tell people, I'm not scared of walking on Third Mainland Bridge in the night. I have none of that type of fear. I am not scared of walking in Oshodi in the night. No matter how many gadgets I'm working with, some way, somehow, I know that within 5 to 10 street boys, I know about 2 to 6.
So you've built a rapport with them.
Exactly. But on the investor side, it's still quite a difficulty getting investors to understand that these people can afford these houses. Most times we're also not accommodating the troublesome side of tenancy. We have a structure in place to cut that out. We sign offtake agreements with institutions for their staff and all of that. That's a means to erase the problematic side of tenancy. But largely, trust capital would be the biggest problem within the business. But one thing is that with patience and understanding over time, you're able to gain more trust capital. I would only wish it happens in a snap of a finger. That's just a wish.
All right. We've been having a very insightful conversation. You know, I mean, through this conversation, you've opened my eyes to a lot of things. Now I understand better the newer model, what comes in the future, how we can be able to utilize it. So yeah, we're moving to another segment of this show, and it is what I personally will call my favorite quote segment. Yes, so I have a favorite quote every time on this show, so I'm going to read it to you now. Yes, and it says, hope is the gap between what if and what is, but you have to fill that gap with a lot of hard work. And that's what we're going to talk about this week: hope, dream, work. So I'm going to ask you, I need you to give me a favorite quote of yours, one that keeps you going, that keeps you grounded, that keeps you motivated.
Largely, my favorite quote would come from the Bible. And I'm not good with Bible verses, but there's the part of the Bible that says it is good for a man to bear his burden in his youth. And that's largely one of the things that keep me going, because at this point in time, I'm still young. I have enough energy to burn myself out and recover before daybreak. And that largely gives me the strength and the motivation to always keep doing what I'm doing. The youthful side of my life, I'd rather say my alter ego allows me play very efficiently, and that's more like my life coach. So almost everything I do, I try to do it early. I try to come into almost every market I come into early, and start working as quickly as possible. so that, like the Bible says, it's good that a man makes use of the sun before it's night. But when there's a time when night falls and you're unable to do anything. So for me, before I get old, I'll probably go back to retirement and relaxation. This is what I keep doing every single day. It keeps me up all night. I'm happy to always be on the streets, discussing with people late at night, seeing how the housing challenge affects them. I spend quite a serious amount of time under bridges in the streets, very unconventional places, places people would naturally not expect to see me. I spend a lot of time within those type of environments just to understand in depthly, and all is based on the quote I gave, which says I must do what I have to do when I'm young and still vibrant enough. So largely that's my favorite quote.
Okay, right, that makes sense. So let's go on a short break now. We'll be right back. You're still watching Market Innoventors. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Market Innoventors, and we are still here with Mr. Ekene Ossai as we continue this important conversation on building systems that expand access to housing and opportunity. Mr. Ekene, you are known for pushing mindset shifts. Why do you think many people struggle to take action in areas like investment and wealth creation?
I may not be correct, but one of the reasons is past trauma. Let's just say trauma. Nigeria has had quite a significant battle with Ponzi schemes.
Yeah.
So when you talk about investments, a lot of people are held back. Another major challenge would be knowledge, because there are some type of products you see in the market and you already understand that the structure is solid.
Yeah.
But when you don't have the knowledge to analyze such a structure and know if it's solid enough, you're just going to make fearful assumptions.
Yeah.
So there are quite a whole lot of reasons, but trauma, trusts, all of those, they come up to explain why people are a bit laid back. Financial knowledge also is very, very low in Africa. The average African or Nigerian believes that having money in your pocket is as equal as financial knowledge, but there are two different things. Some people have money, but they don't have enough financial knowledge. Some people have good financial knowledge, not enough resources. And some people have a mixture of both, and that's where the healthy balance comes into play. But a lot of factors come into play when you look at why people don't trust investment angles. And that's largely why we run a cooperative or a community-based approach, so that these people are not just investors. They work with us. I know at least 3 to 4 of the people who have bought bed spaces from us today who work with me today. And because they have joined the company, I have quite a free space to do other things. And so by getting people involved, they get to see both the good, the bad, and the ugly. Exactly. Yeah, so that's largely what I have on it.
Okay, so this might, set you, but like you you bring a lot of character into what you do. Looking at your pictures, you gesticulate, so and then you also mentioned about being knowledgeable about unconventional spaces. So how do you bring that character into what you are trying to solve, into the problem that you're trying to solve, the housing problem that you're trying to solve in Nigeria?
It helps a lot in terms of character. Maybe I believe God will give you everything you need for the journey He has sent you. That's one thing I believe. So every character I put up, every play I put up just happens naturally. I don't think I sit down to prepare for anything. I just wake up and I know that from the information I've been able to accumulate over time and the books I read and everything I do, it's just easy for me to, go with the flow or fall into character. In terms, maybe in a movie you say fall into character. Yeah. So it's easy for me. I don't have a problem interacting with people on the street.
Yes.
I could easily socialize with anybody and bond and begin to have interactions. I don't think I have fear for a whole lot of stuff by nature. I just move around and I'm confident in what I'm doing. So it's not as though I have a blueprint or there was a process which I know to follow.
Yeah.
I just knew the day I was in love with this career, every other thing followed after that. So whatever you see in line with this career, it just pops up when it's needed.
Okay, so what about people that don't speak, Queen's English like you do? The ones that speak what we call Nigerian English, Pidgin.
Yeah.
So how do you interact with them? Do you speak Pidgin to them too? Can you speak Pidgin?
Yeah, very well. I did speak Pidgin very well.
Okay.
And I'm good with about 2 major languages. I can speak Hausa fluently. I can speak Igbo. I can follow Yoruba. I'm starting to learn since I got into Lagos. So number one, language is very important. Many people do not pay attention to it. But the easiest way to bond with somebody is to communicate in the language they understand or they would be able to understand. So whether I'm dressed up in a suit, whether I'm dressed up in my shorts and t-shirt, I just see myself as a regular person. That's number one. I don't see human beings with positions. I just see them as human beings. Exactly. Yeah. So that allows me bond with them, socialize. If I need to speak Pidgin, I can speak Pidgin. If I need to be posh, except when it's food, I don't eat. I have no acquired taste. I don't do acquired taste. So every other thing within my life, I think I can just switch when needed and act accordingly to there's the part that says when you go to Rome, behave like the Romans. Exactly. That's like one of the important life survival skills. People are kind of very rigid. This is what I'm used to. I will only do what I'm used to. But for me, I just do what's important for that job, whether it's what I'm used to or not. The worst that will happen is I'll make a mistake and learn. So I would always try.
Yeah. So you are an entrepreneur and house innovator. Don't prices and market fluctuations affect your business?
Yes, they do, but largely when we talk about housing, the problem is the Nigerian housing market
Yes.
has not built a structure that creates predictability. If you go to the international market, you know that rental housing, if you are invested in the real estate investment trust in many international markets, there's a defined percentage of return. Some it's 4%, some is 6%, some is 8%. But the type of real estate we've practiced in Nigeria for the longest period of time has been the issue. Land banking has largely constituted a lot of nuisance than good, because people now buy lands, they don't perfect their documents, they don't build on the land, they clear the vegetation, which is to help the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So in essence, you destroyed almost every good thing about a land just to hold it for a period of time and later sell it for an exorbitant price. So the speculative market within the Nigerian real estate sector is why today we have difficulty in understanding if the economic fluctuations will affect. That's why today landlords arbitrarily increase rents. There is no structure to how you increase rents. But by the time people start practicing real estate the way we do at House and Cooper, where we know the customers, we probably know all our customers by age and names and jobs and almost everything they do, because we have off-take agreements. We know how many people would be in a certain facility at every given time. That way, you kind of have a futuristic picture of the finances, even against the economic impact. So if, take for example, while we're still fabricating the facilities currently, the global crisis between US, Iran, and Israel has affected oil prices generally. And that has kind of slowed down the speed on fabrication. Those are the kind of situations you can't predict, because when they pop up, then you have to adjust. But aside from that, almost every other thing is predictable. You know when the office has done a general salary increment.
Yeah.
You know when there is an improvement in the staff welfare or their living conditions. You know when they need a better upgrade. And the way we approach housing makes us understand the amenities that supports that housing market. And those amenities also support economic issues. So many people building houses today largely put only two features. If there's no swimming pool, there is gym, or there's swimming pool and gym.
POP.
Exactly. So if you're building within maybe Yaba area, there's no need for swimming pool and gym. It's students.
Yes.
It's supposed to be probably a workstation within the housing environment, a library. They should have laundry system, house cleaning, transportation to work or to school. These are the features that make that category of housing more impressive. But when these features do not exist, then economic issues now begin to double you left and right, and then you just have to guess what it would be. Take, for example, if you buy a land today, some people will tell you, oh, keep it for 10 years. It has appreciated by 300% or 10,000%. And then when you try to sell it, maybe even back to the person who you bought it from, then you now hear stories like, oh, there is appreciation on paper and there is appreciation in reality. If you're trying to sell to me back where you bought it from, it didn't really appreciate like that. If you have to sell to the next person, so there's a whole lot of stories that now start. Exactly. So you can't really fight economic conditions if you do not have a predictable market. When you have a predictable market, by having a predictable market, you defeat security issues, you defeat economic fluctuations, you defeat having amenities that are being wasted because people don't use it. So we go after a defined market, we create agreements with these markets, and then we build the structure to the exact requirements for that particular market.
Okay, so talking about going for a defined market,
Yes.
there are other people, companies who are into this area of business,
True.
you know, both locally and internationally. What are those things that make yours unique?
First and foremost, knowledge. We have spent about 5 to 7 years right now in research, strictly just building the needed knowledge for this market. Number one, we didn't just come in like every other developer or every other real estate company. We were not, also as a founder, many real estate CEOs today have their trajectory almost in the same direction. They were in a real estate company, probably selling lands and houses.
Yeah.
They found purpose in it, found the courage to go and open theirs, and then the same knowledge they had from where they were working has now been transferred to theirs.
Yeah.
Whether it is a deficient knowledge or it's not good for business, it has just been transferred. As long as it brings money, then it's good to go. In our case, we are all, everybody behind House and Cooper have their independent careers, but we are all products of research. So we were not from the school where we had to sell land and then we fell in love with the commission.
Yeah.
No, for us, we read through it, practiced it, did a couple of researches in different locations, and those research numbers gave us a good picture of where we're going. Like most times when we discuss with people on the bed space project, some of the investors have a little worry around, are you not limiting the market by working with only certain institutions? But in reality, because we've practiced it before, we're able to see that if we allow everybody just simply walk into this space, then there'll be a lot of police arrests, because some of the criminals on the streets will be in your facility and you can't do anything once they get into the facility. They become a nuisance. So early enough, the knowledge we've been able to build has become the advantage we have in going into the system. We're not finding it difficult. It's not difficult for us to approach banks and say, hey, we want a partnership with you. When they listing, they already know that, oh, these guys have the adequate knowledge on this field. We've also gotten the practicability of it, because myself, my team, we spend a lot of time on the streets. We interact with a lot of informal sector workers, and that gives us a clear picture on how best to work with these people. Those to avoid totally whether they need the housing or not. There are certain people you have to avoid. There are certain people you have to create room for them, because by creating room for them, you're automatically growing the economy, you're giving them a chance to grow. So knowledge is a very, very huge defining difference between House and Cooper and many other companies in the real estate space.
Okay, so talking about knowledge and research that you and your team have made to bring this into reality. Yes. So what inspired the name House and Cooper?
It's very simple.
Okay. I mean, the house part is very, very understandable. The Cooper part, we need a little bit of explanation on that.
All right. So the name House and Cooper just came about because House and Cooper is generally for all infrastructures, not just housing. Housing is the foundation of every infrastructure.
Yes.
We believe that when people have a house to stay, because currently food and clothing is not a problem in Nigeria. The only thing we would say is we may not have quality food stuffs, or maybe the low-income earner doesn't have quality clothes and all of that, but at least you're not naked and you will not be hungry.
Yes.
The housing is a major issue because there are people who are legitimately working every single day and they don't have a place to stay. So for us, we're starting with housing. And we believe that that's where the name house comes from. Everything needs a house, needs a building. So if it's a hospital, it's the house for sick people. If it's a conservation center, it's a house for animals. If it's a wildlife park, the same thing and all of that. Some are houses for recreation. So that's where house came from, referring to almost everything that we can fit in a building for profit and for progress. Cooper is just the short form for cooperative. Oh, exactly. Okay. So the moment you remove the atives, you have just Cooper left. So House and Cooper, and then I love PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. So when I get a lot of data from them, I read about them a lot, and so when I saw it and I made the merger, I just felt cool that, okay, I'm close to something I also love. It's
really cool.
So that's it.
All right, we're going on a short break right now. Thank you for watching Market Innoventors. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Market Innoventors, where we bring to you real innovators and real inventors. And we still have with us Mr. Ekene Ossai. So we are in another segment, what I would like to call the 30-second pitch. And what you'll be doing in this segment is there's a 30 seconds timer, and you have to pitch what you do. Immediately the 30 seconds is up. No matter what you're saying, it's off.
All right.
So are you ready?
Sure.
All right. You can start now.
All right. My name is Ekene Ossai, and I'm the CEO and founder of House & Cooper. House & Cooper is Nigeria's first all-inclusive real estate and infrastructure community with three core sections. Number one, a place for people to learn about real estate and infrastructures. Number two, an opportunity for people to invest in these infrastructures. And number three, an opportunity for partnership for all of these infrastructures to thrive. Our current project is the Bed Space project, designed for informal sector workers. Cheers.
Okay, I like that. All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Ekene, for sharing your journey, your insights, and your vision. So what stands out from this conversation is a powerful shift in thinking, from seeing housing as a luxury or a distant goal to understanding it as a structured, accessible system that people can participate in.
True.
Yes, and your work highlights something important. Real impact is not just about ideas, but about execution, building systems, creating access, and empowering people to take action.
Yeah.
As Nigeria continues to grow, solutions like cooperative housing and community-driven models may very well define the future of how people live, invest, and build long-term stability. And that's been today's edition of Market Innoventors, where we bring to your screen real innovators and real inventors, people transforming ideas into influence and ambition into global impact. I am your host, Peace Nwoke. Stay inspired, keep building, and keep innovating.